All right, what we're going to talk about this morning setups, how to train your eyes to look at these charts, visualize patterns. How many times after the fact have you gone back and put the stock together and it just made perfect sense? You fully understood, and when you looked back, how it set up and moved from this level up to this level, then it moved down to that level. It just, everything makes crystal clear sense. You can easily go back and put together like, wow, this stock made a wedge here the first half hour of the day, and then from that $8 continued to push up all the way to $9. That's a $1 per share move to the upside, and I could have easily just plotted on a trend line and put my stop below that trend line. Little stuff like that. It's always a lot harder when it's real time and you're right here for the day. You don't know what's to come, so you don't know how to react and put it all together. Well, a good practice for you guys to do is to always try to, on the 1 minute time frame, and I know I do a lot of examples on a 1 minute chart. This is where it pays to have multiple time frames up. I like to use that 1 minute, 3 minute, 10 minute chart. And what I also like to do, I like to try to zoom out on these charts to get a big, clear picture idea what's going on in general. We've had a few examples we'll talk about, even with DWAC, how it looked ugly on the 1 minute, but it was still technically bullish on the 10 minute. You can't let one time frame, especially a 1 minute time frame, punk you out. A good practice to do: constantly zoom out on your charts, guys. Zoom out on them, visualize the chart, glance at it, notice the theme, patterns you're picking up. Gradually, little bit, just zoom in, focus on areas of interest, zoom out a little bit, focus on areas of interest, zoom in. And by doing this, you're training your eyes to pick up patterns, getting a better idea of the overall trend of the stock, where it's at in its trend, what's going on. You can easily get sucked up in the current day's trading. And by zooming in so much on these 1 minute charts, you can totally just overlook the big picture and theme that's going on. We all do it. We all do it. Especially newer people. I know you're an easy target to pick on, but you're notorious for doing this. You zoom in on the current trading day and you do not zoom out on your charts and look at the big total picture like this. By zooming out on this, we can clearly look back. Now, this is a 1 minute chart. I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 trading days here on a 1 minute chart. Every candle is 1 minute. I got 6 days to go off of here. Remember the saying I told you guys? You want to look at charts and technical analysis. It's art. Don't be so serious with it. I know it says technical analysis, but there's really nothing technical about it. It's all in the way you look at it. How do you receive the information? This is art. Have fun with it. This is why art galleries and museums are really popular. Everybody's going to look at a piece of art differently than one another. And this is where you separate yourself from everybody else. Everybody is taught to look out for basic chart patterns: triangles, wedges, U-shapes, V's, all kinds of chart patterns, head and shoulders, double bottoms, triple bottoms. There's patterns everywhere. And there's even a belief out there that we see these patterns like wedges. I'll draw one out right here, like a wedge right here on BKKT. We pick up on these patterns because it's what we're looking out for. Our brain already knows these are the patterns we should be looking for. So it's naturally going to spot these patterns, even if they're not there. And this is when you get into the bigger thinking part of it, when you have all of those. Let's go to outer space for a second. You guys know how they have the rover on Mars or Jupiter, and it sends back pictures. And some pictures, sometimes people and theorists will look at the picture and they'll say there's an alien on that, or there's a face on the ground. And then the scientists will say, well, no, not technically. It's from the wind and the shift in the sun. and it's just your brain picking up on patterns that you're familiar with. This is some deep stuff, you guys. So BKKT, by zooming out on this chart here, and I'm going to delete all my green lines here. We're going to start fresh. The last 6 days, this stock was in play. What I like to do, and the way I look at it, when I have stocks up in play, I like to zoom out, and I like to have history. I like to have it where I can look back and I have something to work with. I have levels I can work off of. If I pull up a stock and I zoom out, and there's nothing to the left, how am I to know where the stock's going to run into resistance? Where is it going to run into support? I have no idea what levels it's going to run up to. Going back day one here, when it first gets a nice run up from $6 up here to $8 a share, the next day we open up just below $7 here. And again, it gets a beautiful morning run, morning spike. You got volume to confirm it, all that volume yesterday. And you could see after the stock ripped up for that high of the day, you could see there was a lot of resistance, almost like this stock was purposely getting held down right here. And it ultimately formed a little like descending wedge. From this level, you could draw out a straight line, and then it went into a range from around that $7 up to $7.75, $8. And we were range bound here for a moment, weren't we? Just back and forth, back and forth. And then after building our base at around that $7, we start to trend, and we trend up. We were trending up, we get up over out of this range, and you can extend this line out, and then we hold it as support all right here. Build up at just below that $8, and from that 8 it's a nice rip up to 870s. And then this morning when we're opening up at around this $8, and from that $8 we push up to $9 a share. So overall the sentiment's been bullish, and you could see just by zooming out how I can put this all together and make sense of it. And it all comes from what? The information that I have at my disposal. I'm able to identify and put together ideas and plans by simply zooming out and looking at the history, how this stock like to move up and down, what levels it's currently at, and where it's at in its current trading. There's a lot more to it than that though. You have your 10-minute time frame, your 3-minute time frame. Now let's take a look real quickly at what we spotted this morning, DWAC. DWAC this morning, it's recently been hot and tradable the last 2 months because it's about to open up the social media platform Truth, Donald Trump. It's got a lot of people excited. Let's take a look at the 10-minute chart here real quickly. Recently, the stock, it's been somewhat setting up like this. You got a wedge right here, it's set up, and then it broke down out of that wedge, and then it sets up either a trading range right here, back and forth, or you can say it's another wedge. Doesn't really matter. What matters is this morning we're gapping up out of these areas right here with this candle. We're gapping up out of this range and right up to this wedge right here. And then if we do rip up and we break up over this high here, we have all this room right here to run right here with this recent big sell-off that it had. Let's look at the 1-minute time frame. This morning we're gapping up. This is the previous trading day right here. Stock closes at around that $81. Go into after hours, gets a good rip. And then this morning pre-market, we're gapping up and we're hitting highs up here at $85. And then as soon as this stock opens up here at $83.50 and just explodes up to $86.50. That's a $3 per share rip the first 3 minutes of the trading day. And then from $86.50, the stock quickly crumbles and flushes super hard down here to $82. So that's a $4.50 downfall right here. And it's pretty ugly, isn't it? But we said when this was flushing right here, don't let this move like this punk you out. Overall, technically, this stock is still bullish. The overall sentiment is bullish. Simply for when you look at your bigger time frames, we're holding up at the levels right here. $83, $82. 82 was all resistance right here. And then at 83 was where this stock broke from this wedge that it formed right there. And it's gapping up right here. So if the stock can hold up at this level right here, and I'm going to highlight it blue. So if the stock can hold up anywhere in this level right here, overall, technically, we are still bullish. The overall sentiment is bullish. The stock is working, trying to gear up for that reversal and rip up to old resistance, which was way back here if we draw a line straight across. Notice how the stock ripped up to this 86, 87 level all back here. So the stock is gearing up here, rips up, and then once again it rips and test old resistance there. So if we can continue to build and gradually make higher highs, higher lows, we're building up to break this resistance here, then that's where the stock could continue to rip and then fill all of this void right here in the chart. And you could see the stock run right back up to 95 or even push to a new high, $100. You just want to take it one level at a time. And as I told you guys, it's all in the way you look at the chart. Everything that I just put together with this, that's in my perspective, my belief. And I've studied and broke down enough charts throughout my career. You truly do start to get a feel for how these stocks like to set up, pop, and run. And you can't let a stock, especially on a 1 minute time frame, you can't let a 1 minute time frame punk you out. A lot of newer traders out here, they don't have really no experience with how stocks like to move, how to break down these charts and think of it in levels. I'm not paying attention to exact to the T penny levels like $8.10, $8.15. No, I'm paying attention more to psychological levels, areas of interest. Even if we blow up a 3 minute time frame here on DWAC, let me zoom out on this. You could just tell by looking at this with it setting up all right here, it was wedging out. And when it broke down, I'll even get out my resistance line here, it started to break down out of that wedge at around $83. It broke down at $82.50. And when it broke down out of it, notice how every single time when the stock ripped back up, it was hitting it as resistance. That's how I know it's an area of interest right there. It fell down out of that wedge and then it went into a range, just like so here. Back and forth like this. Just consolidating and resting. And some people will look at this. This is trading opportunities while a stock is in range like this. That's good range from $79 to $82. That's a $3 back and forth range you could be taking advantage of. And it all comes from how you look at the chart. Where do you see opportunity? So all that resistance right here, and then just as we were saying, the stock was gapping up this morning. It got a rip, and notice when it was pulling back, where was it holding as support here? Right at where it fell down from that wedge, and every single time where it was ripping up to resistance here. That's an area of interest, about $83, $82, the range of that. Paying attention to the overall big picture of what's going on, and I'm not letting the stock punk me out by trying to micro it down to the exact price. That's how you guys stress yourself out, and then how ultimately a lot of people lose. They try to narrow it down and they try to be perfect to the T. If the way I think of it, if I think a stock is going to go higher and I see a lot of potential in it, I'm not going to stress myself out over a few pennies. If I'm focused on making dollars per share, I'm not going to let 25 cent, 50 cent phase me out. And then this again, too, guys, is where you have to consider your size, how big your size is. Because if your size is too big, then you can't afford to let the stock move and give it room to move around. But if you have the right size and you're comfortable with your size, then you can let the stock fluctuate, do what it's got to do, give it some room to breathe and move. It all revolves around the type of trader you are. So that's a quick breakdown. DWAC, BKKT. Now let's also take a quick look at KSCP. This stock's been up in play the last few days. And once again, what can I do? I can zoom out and I can look left and put together levels and form ideas on what's going on. The last couple trading days here, we've noticed that you can draw a trend line connecting all of the lower highs on this right at that $8 just about. And even on the 10-minute time frame here, connect your higher lows, and then you connect this right here. What do you got? A nice tight wedge. Traders are taught to look out for wedges and wedge breakouts. Stock rips up out of that wedge, pulls back, holds the area it broke from, continues to rip up. Notice how volume retraced all the way down as this wedge was forming. When you notice volume patterns like this, and again, what we were just talking about, your lucky number 3, how stocks like to, the special number in the stock market is 3. Volume got super tight and small. You know a move's about to be coming and approaching. And look at that volume explosion. This is on a 10-minute time frame. Now let's look at the 1 minute. Connect your lower highs here. It's all correlating right at this $8, at around $8. So the stock, $8.25, $8. We're focused on the area. We see how it's setting up. We see what's going on. You see the stock this morning, this right here, it broke out of that trend line and it was pulling back and holding that trend line as support this morning, building up that momentum and strength to continue pushing up higher. We zoom in on this from 850, setting up all morning right here. It took about almost an hour for this stock to set up, as it opened up here at 820s and moved its way up to 870s. It just kept pushing up, pulling back, pushing up, pulling back. But the whole time, it was slowly building. It was making progress with making higher lows, and it was getting real tight at around this 850, 870s level. All this volume starts to come in. Look at, as this stock started ripping up there, look at all that volume showed up all right here versus this morning, how much volume there was. This is where I teach you guys. You want to spot these moves and see the potential before it happens. That way, when all this volume comes in, you're the smart money. You're the 10% that's selling to all the dumb money. When they all come in like this, everybody who chased after this stock up here now, all this volume, you guys, they're all trapped now. They're all holding the bag. And the only people who made out and got paid was the smart money all right here, who got in all right here. That's how the stock market works. You want to see the setups before they happen. And I try to teach you guys to spot these moves before they take place. And it all revolves around your mindset, how you look at these charts, knowing yourself as a trader, and just allowing in the process to take place. This is going to take time to learn, and you're going to notice, you're going to see similar setups, you're going to see patterns, and you're going to see the same thing a lot, and you're going to see how it plays out. And then that's how you start teaching yourself to trust in yourself and what you're seeing. And it all honestly just falls into place. It truly does. This lesson's getting to be a bit too long. I'm going to end it on that note. I'm Mr. Wolf. As I always say to you guys, have that patience, have that discipline, study, study, study. Later.